Oh god, I'll beat you senseless. Well, hello. This sharp-featured woman's appearance is attractive, though somewhat disturbing, with her blue-black skin and bright yellow eyes. As she examines you, a small pair of bat-like wings unfold from her back. Oh, too bad we cannot see them. Then seem to settle back into her skin. Is she wearing pink shoes? Is she without shoes as well? Don't know. Well, a floating disembodied prevaricating skull. She narrows her eyes. You're the scarred man who's been going around asking all the questions. She looks you up and down. You sure look lost. Did you want to come in? Really? Or are you just casing the place because you have nothing better to do? Well, thank you. I have nothing better to do, you know. Because Vrishika, I don't know, she indicates herself, can help you. How can you help me? I travel and trade extensively. I hear a great deal, I purchase a great deal, and I own a great deal. Perhaps I can make you a great deal. Is there anything that you desire? What? I'll entertain any question about the merchandise, but I'm not going to be drawn into one of your famous 20 questions about anything around the spire, understood? What are you? An alu fiend. A half-demon. My mother was Tanari, a fiend, and my father a great king of mortals. Such a rude question, but then... You're rather rude-looking yourself, aren't you? Yeah, well, I suppose. What did you mean by calling Morte prevaricating? Prevaricating, misrepresenting, perjuring, dissimulating, lying. Oh, did I say that? I'd meant a floating, disembodying, pontificating skull, as in dogmatic, always stating an opinion in a self-important manner. Vishika smiles innocently. Why is Morte not replying? What about your place, then? What you see within this shop is the result of much trading and traveling across the plains. She makes a sweeping gesture of the shop. Weapons, charms, and other specialty items are for sale here as well. Everything that is rare and also exquisite fills this emporium. Your needs. I sate them. Let's see what you have then. Would you care to examine the weapons and charms, or some of my more exotic acquisition? Sorry. Okay, so she's a normal trader. Teeth of the Fire Drake. I have this one too. Magnifying lens. Usable only by Modrons. The snap-on magnifying lens somehow seems inherently vicious to you. You can't really explain what this is. You have a strange feeling it's looking at you sometimes, sizing you up. What's this stuff? But what about the other stuff that you have? Right? The exotic items? Vrishka smiles as you look at the various shelves in the middle of the shop. If you see nothing you like here, there are more items towards the front and the back of the store as well. What do you mean? Fiend's tongue. You examine what appears to be a tongue floating in a jar of brine. Vrishka frowns at it. This is a fiend tongue. A cornugon's, I think, but who really knows? It's said that, placed into the mouth of any living thing, it will give the ability of speech, even if there was none before. I'm selling this oddity for only 66 coppers, should you want it. That's very little. I can buy these things? Because that tongue seemed like it had a purpose. all these items could open portals as well, technically, right? Gorgon Salve. You examine a bottle labeled as Gorgon Salve. Rishika holds it up for you. I traded for this with some sword-slinging prime worlder. Perseus, I think was his name. Smeared onto the surface of any being turned to stone, it will revert them to flesh. Only 100 copper commons, a bargain considering how handy it might come in should you ever find a friend of yours transmuted to rock. I'm tempted by that. A metallic cube figurine? You examine a small metal replica of a cube-like creature with huge eyes. In one of its faces, the toy has 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 folding wings, and at least 18 points of articulation. Vrishka smiles as you pick it up, a collector's item perhaps, or a piece of artwork. Who knows, but I like it. If you do buy it, ask around. Someone might know more about it than I. You can have it for only 1500 copper coins. That's expensive compared to the other 2. Monster jug. You examine a plain-looking jug. Despite its common appearance, you feel reluctant to touch the thing as if it might bite you. Vrishka watches you, chuckling, then shrugs. It's a jug. It's got some sort of monster trapped in it. That's why your hair's prickling up like that. If you'd like it, it's only 123 copper. Yeah, the amount increases. Look at the front of the store. Baby oil! You examine a number of small bottles, each labeled as baby oil. Vrishka picks one up and presents it to you. Interested? It's the real thing, of course. Thousands of mewling mortal babies went into the making of this stuff. But where from is the oil? From the collagen? Well, let me see what else. Chocolate quasit. You examine a twisted little imp-like creature sculpted out of pure milk chocolate. It looks delicious, does it not? Imported from the lower plains, these are rare, you know, and quite prized by lovers of chocolate and confections. It's a real quasit, a fiendish familiar, polymorphed into chocolate by powerful sorcery. It's only 199 coppers. Codex of the Inconceivable. You examine a rather unassuming book held closed by a tiny brass lock. That, coos Vrishka, is the Codex of the Inconceivable. I'll only say that it's just, well, I cannot explain it. Mere words simply won't suffice. You can own it yourself for a mere 1,000 copper commons, and believe me, it is well worth it. Deva's Tears. You examine a small glass phial labeled as Deva's Tears. These were collected from a Deva who was captured during a Blood War skirmish. The fiends tormented the imprisoned angel for eons before he at last escaped. This small bottle holds the 12 tears he shed in that time. Their price is but 100 copper commons. These items must have special powers or something. There must be something, you know, to do with this. Elixir of horrific separation. You examine a bottle labeled as Elixir of horrific separation. Vrishka presents it to you. The stuff was compounded by a scholar who'd found she possessed a darker half, a side of her which took control at times and bade her do awful things. This potion was to have split the darker half away from her, creating 2 separate beings. Mercy killers, however, found and executed her for a string of depraved murders before she could use it. I'd charge you only 200 copper commons for the elixir. Stained lens. You examine a stained ground glass lens, the width of your hand, held in brushed steel ring. A small geared protrusion coming off the ring makes it look as if the lens should attach to some sort of clockwork machine. And it smells faintly of horrible perfume. Why? Vishka holds it up to you. I have no idea what this really is, but it radiates fairly powerful magic. An old soldier named Gisis brought it up to me from a lower plane battlefield. He'd murdered his own men in order to escape his tour of duty there, and brought me a number of interesting items he'd collected over the course of the campaign. I've kept it mostly as a conversation piece, though you might have it for 149 copper coins if you'd like. Oh! I apparently took it because I didn't have any other options. Yes. Vrishka purrs, a wise choice. The copper you pour into her hand seems to disappear the moment it touches her palm. She hands you the item. Please enjoy your newest acquisition. I'm doing... Yevra's ring. You examine a ring in a small padded case. Vrishka holds it up so that you can see it more closely. This is Yevra's ring of almost invisibility. Almost. It's a ring of chameleon. It makes its wearer invisible. Well, almost. I will part with it for the meager sum of 349 copper commons. Then we have a rune-covered Aelstein. You examine a large pewter Aelstein covered in strange runes. Vrishka holds it up for you to see more closely. A nail mag of unusual manufacture, which keeps its contents, usually beer of course, icy cold. Whatever the surrounding temperature, 299 copper commons, and you'll enjoy the frostiest ale you've ever had outside the paraplane of ice. There is also that apprentice mage that has one of these, possibly. A tattered ragdoll. The years have not been kind to this tiny ragdoll. It is coming apart at the seams, and it looks like its threads are unraveling. It is obviously intended to be a replica of the Lady of Pain, but the button eyes and its plush softness don't strike much fear into your heart. Vrishka holds it up for you. This was found in a well-trapped strongbox sunk deep beneath the surface of Sigil. It was part of a small hoard of treasure and forbidden magical texts, though I don't know what it's for. Maybe it's a voodoo doll. If you like it, it's only 99 copper coins. And that's about it. So what did we get? It sounds like some of the equipment she's selling. This scope looks like someone spilled beer on it, and it smells faintly of some horrible perfume. Can you identify it? I used the scroll, apparently. Beer goggles. Intoxicates wearer. Immunity to panic. Only by modrons. Usable. What are modrons? Some kind of demon? Apparently some... Sorry. Modrons once foolishly asked the wizard what it was like to be intoxicated, and these goggles were fashioned. When this lens is equipped, the wearer becomes braver, stronger, but can't see targets too well, reducing chances to hit and damage an enemy. Why would I why would I want this? Am I about to meet a Modron and having him as a companion or something? Hey, Standish. This downtrodden little man scurries about the curiosity shops, dusting, cataloging, and moving things about for the place appropriate rest. You notice he smells faintly of onions. He glances up at you nervously as you approach him. Please, sir, I cannot speak with you. I have work to do and my mistress simply won't allow it. I'm sorry, sir, but I can't. Please leave me be before my mistress notices me talking to you. Your mistress? The little man nods. Yes, Mistress Vrishka. I am Standish, her servant, her slave. I committed a crime and was sentenced to slavery, then purchased in the lower world like many of her slaves, most of whom she keeps at her manor. Now please, I beg of you, leave me be, or she'll become angered and beat me unmercifully. She beats you? She shouldn't be doing that.
I'm gone.
Well, let's go on with our things.
Done.
We have another house here. Look at the roof. Weird. It's very dark. Where are we?
Done.
What is this? Dark birds of Ocanthus. Several shards of black crystal or ice swirl within the freezing wind that this ornate pedestal gives forth. Each shard looks razor sharp. Touching or grabbing one could be perilous. A placard on the pedestal reads, Dark birds of Ocanthus. Oh, this looks like a museum. Ooh. Oh, look at this. So many things we can interact with. This is gonna be fun. Ivana. Okay.
I'm gone.
Let's try this. A set of 4 paintings which portray an empty beach in the dead of night. The air around the painting smells faintly of brine, and the depainted sea seems to ebb and flow across the darkened shore. A placard reads, Karasutran shoreline. Sniff the paint. The surface of the painting smells strongly of sea air. Can you touch it? You place your hand on the painting, not knowing quite what to expect, but it is merely the texture of painted canvas that you feel beneath your fingertips. Well,
all right.
Usually touching works of art is always a problem. Not here. This painting depicts a shore scene, with a wide reddish-orange sun setting behind a peninsula or large jetty. This scene, though unoriginal, is breathtaking. The play of the fading daylight across the water is captured perfectly, but staring at the painted sun for any length of time makes your eyes ache. A placard reads, Surface of Thalasia. Oddly enough, there is nothing unusual about the surface of the painting. What about this one? This painting shows an enormous granite keep, a hideous thing, long and low, covered in leering gargoyles, suspended in what looks to be the night sky. A cloud of crimson and violet vapor whirls in the background along the right side of the painting. A placard reads simply the library. What about this one? The hundreds of chips of translucent green glass which make up this stained glass window don't appear to be held together by anything, but rather remain free-floating and mysteriously suspended within the iron frame's boundaries. The shards ripple and move in slow waves, causing bizarre patterns to fluctuate across the window's surface. As various portions of it refract the galleria's light in different directions, a small placard beside the window reads, Arcadian stained glass window. Oh! You reach out to touch the undulating glass shards, but find you cannot do so. Your hand stops just short of the surface of the glass. Yeah, punch the glass. Why would I? It looks cute. Why would I destroy it? I need a reason to do that. This painting is a dark cityscape, a faraway view of some giant center of civilization being burned to the ground. The streets of the place are empty, however, absent of soldiers, refugees, and even corpses. A placard reads, "The Folly of Udo." This looks to be a subterranean landscape, a massive cavern interior filled with colorful, faintly luminescent, gigantic fungi. A placard reads, "Veil beneath Clangedin." This is a portrait of a grotesque hook-nosed old crone. The hag's flesh is a sickly blue-grey color. Her eyes glow red like the embers of a dying fire. Her chin long and sharp. Nah, really? Yawning. Just forward in an extreme underbite. Juts forward. Two yellowed canines protrude upwards from her lower jaw like small tusks. The smile upon her withered purplish lips speaks of a horrible secret. A placard reads, "Grey Hag of Oinos." As you begin to turn away from the painting, something in it draws your attention. A strange tingling sensation arises in the back of your mind, a memory beginning to surface. You recall standing confused in a maze of briars. The hideous crone from the painting is before you, cackling wildly. You grit your teeth in frustration, wondering why she's laughing at you. "My poor, dear, dear, lovely man-thing," she croons. "Why, that was your first wish?" She points a single bony clawed finger at your forehead. Your temples begin to throb painfully, and you can remember nothing more. Is she the witch that we are searching for?
All right.
Like Ravel was her name? The surface of this painting, a wild collage of... Maybe I told her to forget. I asked her to forget. The surface of this painting, a wild collage of vivid colors, ripples constantly, as if it were the surface of a pond during a light rain. A placard reads, "Wave Motion Study 7. Touch it." You place your palm against the canvas. You cannot feel the ripples themselves, though a cool tingling sensation passes through your hand at first contact. What about this little thing? A brilliant ruby statuette stands on this pedestal, carved into the image of a winged humanoid. The figure is either demonic or angelic in nature, but it is difficult to tell which, because it refracts the light in the Galleria strangely. There is no placard indicating what exactly the statuette is.
I'm gone.
A massive horn of beaten lead, wound with brazen chains. The horn is horribly mangled, as if some tremendous force had crushed it. Jagged blades protrude along its length, almost as if it were meant to be used as club by some gigantic creature. As well as a battle horn. A placard mounted beneath the horn reads, "Cleansing Horn of Acheron." Try to blow the horn? Try as you might, you can get no sound to issue from the massive horn. Your lips come away from the mouthpiece, tasting of blood, smoke, and metal. Oh god, I just had a memory. I had a memory, a nameless one, of that movie that I always liked when I was a kid. It's called Eric the Viking, and they were trying to blow an horn on that too, and the horn wasn't blowing, and God, I need to rewatch that movie. My God. So many years I haven't watched it. A painting of tall black cliffs against a blood-red sky. There looks to be figures hiding amongst the crags of the cliffs, but whenever you squint at the painting to try and make them out, the images fade into nothing. A placard reads, "Outland Raiders." Okay. Oh, there's a sensate here. Maybe Ivana is one too. I think let's finish this. This painting shows what looks to be an infinitely long stream of bilious green gas, stretching off into darkness. The horizon of a blasted rocky plain can be seen in the lower right-hand corner of the painting. One is given the impression... sorry. that the head of the green cloud is rearing to strike down upon it. A placard reads, Hazazot, at the consumption of Nagar. Yes. This painting, an abstract work of greens and purples, wreathes and ripples as it's watched. Closer examination reveals that the actual painted image is changing rather than the canvas itself. A placard states, "Moment's glance from the walls of Mokma." Okay. Touch it. Place your hand upon the painting. As you had suspected, it's not that the canvas is physically moving, but that the painted image itself is changing. Okay, let's talk with this woman. Hey, Ivana. Before you is a well-dressed elderly woman in a gown of peach-colored and golden thread. She stands quietly, her hands folded together primly, and nods in your direction. It is then that you notice that she has no pupils. Her eyes are entirely white. "Greetings, sir. I am Ivana. Welcome to my galleria. Feel free to look about, spending as much time here as you like. Should you have questions regarding any of the pieces, do not hesitate to ask me of them." She's probably blind or something. She has cataracts. She's elderly. "One moment, sir. Your voice, it is heavy with age and wounds. Would you be so kind as to permit me to touch your face?" Okay. Ivana smiles, gently running her old hands over the skin of your face. She frowns, looking slightly puzzled. "So many scars, both old and new. They seem to..." She touches the side of your throat, flushes, then pulls away. "Pardon me, sir. I was curious to see how far they went." "Well, it's fine, and they're everywhere. My whole body is scarred." Ivana nods. "So, questions?" Can you see, Ivana?" "Well, probably not. I cannot see, but only because I do not wish to. In time I will allow my vision to return, so that I can re-experience the contents of my galleria with the benefit of new fresh eyes." That's fun. "This place, my galleria of the plains." She smiles and gestures around her. "These pieces have been brought from far and wide. Some I sell, some I keep. All I display at one time or another. Please enjoy them, and again, should you have questions, do not hesitate to ask." "What's of interest?" "I'm afraid that I do not go far from beyond the I thought I was asking in the galleria." What's your favorite piece? I don't know." "Do you know of Ravel?" She's a night hag, one of the eldest Grey Sisters of the Wastes, who came to Sigil many centuries ago to pursue arcane experiments. It was believed that these experiments were against the lady's will, that Ravel was thus banished from Sigil, imprisoned within one of the lady's mazes on the Ethereal, where her body rests to this very day. Ravel was said to have been a master of riddles and puzzles, but it was believed that one riddle, one question in particular, was said to have plagued the ancient night hag. What can change the nature of man? I don't know. Death. Death. Death is always the answer. I was thinking that I still haven't solved the riddle of the skeleton. I need to think about it. I should write it down. Go on. She issued a challenge to any who were interested. She promised to instruct any who came to her in her craft, if they could only answer the question to her satisfaction. If they could not, they consented to be her next meal. Many died coveting Ravel's teachings, and it is believed that until her final hours in sigil, Ravel never discovered the answer to her question. Ravel's crime was believed to be some means of trying to shatter the cage, trying to crack open sigil itself for some unknown reason. Ivana sighs. This is all I know of her. Work? She cannot help. What about that Arcadian stained glass window? A stained glass window found hovering on the third layer of Arcadia 32 years ago, foretelling a scene that had yet to occur. When the event came to pass, the images faded to leave what you saw behind. It is believed to have captured both the light and the darkness from the orb of night and day on Arcadia, then slowly release it, creating a brief but slow fade of dawning and dusk, but only within the glass itself. Orb of night and day, Arcadia. Arcadia is a plane of peaceful order, also known as the land of perfect good. The orb of night and day is a sphere set in the top of Arcadia's highest peak. Each half emits either light or darkness. The turning of the orb gives Arcadia its day and night. What about the horn? The cleansing horn, a horn of beaten lead metal drawn directly from the cube of Acheron. It is said that the cleansing horn last sounded where the companies of the Jackal and the Gouged Eye clans met for their battle at the disputed lands. Legends tell us that this horn's power was used near the battle's end to draw the floating cubes together. Floating cubes? Crushing the routing company of the Jackal before it could escape. Cubes! Acheron! Acheron is a plane of harshly enforced order, where conformity is more important than good. It is composed of gigantic metallic cubes which float through an endless void. Many cubes are large enough that cities or entire kingdoms have been built upon their faces. That must be pretty badass to see. Dark birds of Ocanthus.
Updated my journal.
All of them are chipped from the great magical sheet of black, infinite ice that rests in the black belly of the plain of Ocanthus. Ivana pauses, tapping her chin. It is said that this sheet of ice is the final destination of the river Styx, and that the recollections of all that have plunged into the Styx memory, destroying water, still lie frozen within the ice. The final destination of the river Styx, and that the recollection of all that have plunged into the Styx memory, destroying water, still lie frozen within the ice. Memory destroying Styx waters. If the waters of the Styx destroy one's memories, would this ice from Ocanthus do the same? I could only assume so, yes. What about the ruby statuette? That piece was found in a cathedral in the fertile fields of Elysium, on the first layer, Amoria the Untroubled, where it bordered the river Oceanus. The name of the piece is not known, but the skill and craftsmanship are believed to be one of the most striking examples of gem crafting in the plains. The mere way in which the piece captures, distills, and enhances the light through its facets is part of its breathtaking wonder. It seems to bring to light the possible ideological connection between even the most evil and the purest beings in the multiverse. Fascinating. Well, that's a little bit of a stretch now, is it?